Yo, what's up? It's your boy, Numan, Lex Newman. And let me start by welcoming you to the Numan Show. This right here is a segment I'm calling Numan Talks, where basically I just want to have talks, discussions, conversations, unscripted, off the cuff. And, I just want to talk about things that you may not have thought about as much before, in ways that you may have never thought about them before. So today, I want to talk about trans attraction. Trans attraction. I feel like that's a word that's becoming increasingly more popular, and it's also a word that I feel like is going to be necessary for there to be some understanding of if the conversations that I want to have after this are going to be had. So why not start from there? Trans attraction, what is that? So there's a lot of buzz and a lot of feelings associated with this word, even inside of the trans community. And I feel like outside of the community, there's people who just don't understand this word. So, I mean, there's a lot of fog around the meaning of this word. So why not start from there? So trans attraction is basically... Okay, so you have trans attraction and then you have trans amory, you also can call it. And most people feel like the difference in connotation here is huge because trans attraction kind of, says, it kind of lends itself to meaning like it could be just attraction. So it could be any kind of attraction, physical attraction, sexual attraction, which means it could potentially even be like a fetish. And of course, fetishizing any person is never a good thing. So trans amory, being that it has amour in it, it's lends itself more to a person who feels like they are loving of trans people or able to be in relationships with trans people, whether they be monogamous or otherwise, but someone who is able to love trans people. So I do respect the nuance that is there, and definitely, obviously, I lean more towards trans amory. There's a lot of definitions there, and I guess we should start by saying, like, what kind of guys are attracted to trans women mostly? Now, of course, these are only going to be my own personal experience and also the accounts of people that I've had conversations with in the past. But what I've found is that there are basically like two kinds of guys. Well, I guess you could say three. Well, there's an infinite number of kinds of guys that could date trans people because there's an infinite amount of types of guys, But in my experience, I've come across either like two or three kinds of guys. I guess that's a better way to say. So the first kind of guy is basically a guy who, for all intents and purposes, is straight. He completely is the same as a guy who is not attracted to trans women. He's pretty much the same as any kind of guy, right? And he also just sees trans women as women, so he's attracted to trans women's femininity the same way he's attracted to a woman who's not trans femininity. So it's the femininity that he's attracted to. And so, he's not specifically trying to date trans women, but if he does meet a trans woman, he in the past has not been opposed to also, having some kind of involvement with her. And then I would say the second kind of guy is a guy that specifically wants to seek out and date trans women. Specifically seek out and date trans women. So that kind of brings us to the third kind of guy, which is pretty comically called like a chaser. And chaser is kind of like, it has a negative connotation. It's not like a good thing specifically. It's not really a bad thing, but it can be. It's not really a good thing though, for sure. But a chaser is basically like a guy that more so just wants to have cheap thrills with trans women. So it's just like kind of like any kind of guy that, kind of treats women poorly and just wants to have very thin relationships with them and like then get them into bed and then walk away from the situation after that, So guys, like the second kind of guy who specifically wants to seek out and date trans women, being that I'm more of the first kind of guy, if you want to say which one of those kind of guys that I am, because I just see femininity across the spectrum as being absolutely beautiful. Femininity across the spectrum being absolutely beautiful, to me. So that includes trans women, but it doesn't specifically mean like I only want to go and find a trans girl. And I feel like a lot of times the second kind of guy is very susceptible to being looked at as a chaser, and it's almost like it. People will kind of wonder what your motive is. Like, why do you only specifically want to date trans women? And being that, like I said, I'm the first kind of guy. I guess I would have to talk to or interview or bring in or point you in the direction of a guy who specifically only dates trans women to get a more honest account of that experience. But for me personally, I date all kinds of women, so I guess the most logical question is, like, why are guys attracted to trans women? And it's like, there's no real way, there's no real reason. There's no real A or B. Like, we live in a world that really wants to be like A or B or up or down or left or right. Like, there's no like, well, this happened, so this, like, this is why kind of reason. Like, everybody's reason for anything that they like is going to be different. Like, the way that they got to where they are in their life is going to be different because their experiences are going to be different, But I would say, generally speaking, the reason that guys are attracted to trans women is, like I said before, the femininity. It's just the femininity, It's absolutely the femininity. It's the womanness. It's the femininity. Everything associated with that, the look and everything, But I would say that for some guys, let's just be real, I feel like a lot of the attraction can be the genitalia and what that person has between their legs. But even then, it's more so the femininity. It's more so like being attracted to this very, very feminine person. It just so happens that they also have this between their legs, which is kind of like something different, which is like a thrill in a way. So, I mean, for me, it's the femininity that I'm attracted to, I really don't, if I really like the person, I mean, I'm going to be straight up with you. If I like the person, I don't really mind what they have going on there. I like them, but for me, it's about the femininity, so I guess from there, that kind of naturally leads itself into, okay, is that gay or straight? Like, if you are interacting with a person who has not had a surgery to have the same thing between their legs as women who are not trans, then if you are interacting with certain parts, then that makes you gay. Basically, if you like dick, then that makes you gay. Or if you have ever touched a dick, or if there's another dick in the bedroom outside of your dick, that's gay. And it's like, I beg to differ. You know what I mean? I beg to differ. I mean, I've talked to a lot of guys, and most guys, like, there's no one kind of guy that likes trans women. You know what I'm saying? It's really all kind of guys. It's guys who are basketball, like ball players. It's football players. It's boxers, MMA fighters. It's CEOs. It's guys who work in like different companies. It's guys who are hood niggas. It's guys who are country boys. Like, it's all kinds of guys that I've met that are attracted to trans women, and usually it's men who themselves are pretty hyper masculine or exist in hyper masculine realms. You know what I'm saying? So like sports, or like fight sports, or like business, or the like just some kind of position like that usually. And it's just like that masculinity craving like a hyper femininity, and it's just a form of hyper femininity. So is it gay? I wouldn't call any of these guys gay. Like I said, like usually, like not all the time, but a lot of times just like a hyper masculine guy, or like a regular guy, just like that is attracted. You know what I'm saying? More often than not, it's like not like a effeminate guy, because I mean, like I said, there's no one guy that is attracted to trans women, but I find a lot of guys are like, more times than I feel like people would imagine, the guys are very, very masculine. You know what I mean? Is that gay or straight? I would not say at all that is gay. I wouldn't say at all that it's gay, because it's the fact that this is connected to a very feminine, beautiful person. And it's the beautiful femininity that person is attracted to. Because if they were attracted to just what's between their legs, then they can just go and be with a guy. And most guys that are attracted to trans women are not attracted to men. Then, like, if they're bi, then that's their own specific experience. But most guys that I know, and me myself, is not attracted to men at all. You know what I'm saying? So it's the femininity that the person is attracted to. You know what I'm saying? So it's not gay. But because it does have some differentiation between a guy that's like a guy number, like guys who don't do that call themselves straight. Is it the same? Is it all right to call it straight? You know what I'm saying? Should there be another word for it? Because it does have a tiny difference. It's got way more in common with straight than it don't. But to keep it all the way 100, it's not all the way the same. You know what I'm saying? So do you call it the same thing or do you not? And I feel like trans attracted or trans amorous is the closest that you can get kind of to dialing in that specific feeling with words. You know what I'm saying? Trans attracted. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like people need to understand that trans attracted does not necessarily mean that this person is only attracted to trans women. You know what I'm saying? It's nothing wrong if he is, because trans women are fucking amazing and beautiful. All women are amazing and beautiful. Like, if you love women, then it's not far-fetched for you to be attracted to the women that you love, whether those be tall women or, you know, curvy women or, you know, skinny women who have certain kind of features, like, you know what I'm saying, whatever kind of girl that you are into as a man, then that's who you're just going to be into. So I don't think it's weird if a guy is into trans women to only want to date trans women. You know what I'm saying? It makes perfect fucking sense, you know? But I feel like one of the main things for guys that do date trans women is for them to be comfortable in their masculinity. You know what I'm saying? For you to be comfortable in your masculinity. Like, if you're not comfortable in your masculinity, if you're not comfortable in your sense of self, if you're not comfortable in who you are, then from there, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're still living with like internalized shame, and it's nothing wrong with having that shame, but the thing is, you have to be consciously working on that, because if you have that inside of you, then that can kind of become something that is potentially dangerous, because you don't know what's going to happen because you're always holding it down. So if it kind of comes up and you weren't ready for it, then anything might happen. So in order to be comfortably dating a trans woman, you have to be very comfortable in yourself, or you should be consciously working towards that. And that's why I'm a big advocate for like knowledge of self, understanding yourself, self-exploration. You know what I mean? These are the real, like, this is the real pursuit in life. I feel like finding yourself, having that knowledge of self and understanding, unpacking things, knowing about yourself, taking yourself apart, examining yourself, you know, that is really important if you're going to be in a relationship with a trans person, or dating trans people, or around trans people, or talking about trans issues, or doing anything that society does not specifically say is okay or right. You know, I feel like to say that because you are talking about trans issues, society is going to not accept you, I think that that's like a gloom and doom situation. And I feel like a lot of guys that are not talking about this create this gloom and doom situation in their mind, to where they like, yo, if I do this, then my whole world gonna do this, and then I don't know what's gonna happen, I don't know what I'm gonna do. But the reality is, like, once you start talking and once you start being you, I mean, like, the people who really supposed to be around you is gonna be around you. Like, the people who is supposed to be around you gonna be there, and the people who not, they're gonna go ahead and get the fuck out of there. But that's okay, because you don't really need everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the beauty, you know? The people, like, you find your tribe, you find the people who care about you, and then you start to feel so much better about yourself that you're able to be so much stronger of a person. And then from there, you start to glow so brightly that the people who didn't want to fuck with you before, the people who called themselves getting out of your life, now they can't help but look at you, except they looking from afar. But you're so fucking bright that they still can see you. So they like, wow. You know what I'm saying? When you being yourself, man, that's the strongest motherfucking thing that you can do ever. You know what I'm saying? So, like, that's why just finding yourself and having that authenticity of self is so important, because that's what's really going to unlock what makes you able to be yourself and to be okay with that, you know? So how can we combat the stigma? How can we combat, like, things? How can we combat this being something in society that people look at in a certain kind of way, you know, that is shameful? And I feel like the only way to do that is to talk. The only way to do that is to have conversation. The only way to make that effective change is to step out of that position of just not telling anybody and like being a secret. It's 2020. We going into a whole new decade. We go into a whole new world. You know what I'm saying? It's all good now. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like now having the conversation is what is going to make it collectively better for all of us. You know what I'm saying? Like, for everyone, for people that we love, and for us alike. You know what I'm saying? It's important for us to start to talk. You know, before this video gets too long, it turns into a motivational speech. I want to just go ahead and close it out. But you know, at the same time, like, I just really think that it's important, you know, like, for us to speak up and for us to talk, because, you know, the more sources of information that there are, I mean, think about it. Like, for you, like, I can only say for for myself and my own personal experience. Like, I know for me, like, if I was younger and I was seeing a video of somebody talking on YouTube, like, outside of maybe like one or two people, and like, if I saw more people like me, if I saw more people just speaking candidly and speaking out loudly and being proud and like just giving, like, just back then there wasn't as many resources, and even now, like, there are videos if you look, but there's not a ton of videos. So I just want to implore and just, you know what I mean, just ask all of the guys that feel some kind of way about this subject to start talking about it. Like, be a part of the conversation. It's all good. I'm telling you, it's all good. You know what I'm saying? And that's the only real way that we're going to collectively escape our own shame, and also to create less stigma around this conversation. It's the only fucking way. You got to do the work, you know? We have to do the work together. You know what I'm saying? So this is basically how Numan Talks is going to be. I want to have conversations like these. If you feel like, how do you feel about trans attraction? Like, have you heard the word trans attraction before this video? How do you feel about the word trans attraction if you have heard this word? I know a lot of people have a lot of feelings about it. Are you trans attracted? You can even comment anonymously, or you can send me a message. You know, a lot of people do, a lot of people have. It's all good. Just reach out to me. I want to hear your ideas. Did I miss something? Did I have something misconstrued? Do you not agree with me? Do you agree with me? Just let me know. This is what Numan Talks is about: creating conversation, facilitating space for discussions with men, but not exclusively only men. You know, all kinds of people to come in and to just, you know, share what they think, what they want to know, what they do know, what they don't believe, what they do believe, and just to really create a comment space that is conducive for conversation and thought. So I hope that you found this video well. If you did enjoy it, please subscribe. I'm going to be doing a lot of videos like this. Hopefully they're going to get better. This is me, like, some of my first attempts at doing videos, so I'm not completely as as quick and perfect as I want to be, you know, but I think, like I said, it's just important to be making the content and talking, no matter how it looks, no matter what it's like, no matter what, just, you know, making those waves. So I want to try to upload videos every Sunday. So stay tuned and be a part of the conversation. All right. Yeah. Peace out.